My screen is visible?
Yes.
Yes, John.
Yeah. So last class we have discussed about components of virtual reality. There are three important components which makes the virtual reality a system. The first component is an input device along with the tracking system, and this side you can see the output devices, input devices along with the tracking system, and output devices, or you can call it as an display devices. And intermediate you have some computation need to be performed, so it requires some computers to perform the computation. uh, all these components are an hardware part. When it comes to this computation part, it requires some more softwares along with this remaining portion we will be discussing with respect to an hardware. Right now we are focusing mainly on the hardware components. Later we will be moving on to the software part of it. So we have discussed visual display. We have started the discussion on visual display. Before coming to that, let me talk about few more things related to one virtual reality and one more video, and then we will move on to the other components of VR system. When you are talking about an any VR system, it has three eyes. The three eyes represent immersion, interaction, and imagination. These three should be there in your any VR system. Already we have discussed different types of immersions. Can you able to say what are all the types we have discussed in last class? Can you recollect it? Can you recollect it? Last class we have discussed different types of immersions. Full, can you remember or not?
Non-immersive, fully immersive, and
Full, partial, which is semi-immersive, and no
semi.
immersive. These are all the immersive techniques we have discussed in the last class with a few examples we have discussed. So the immersion should be, if it is a fully immersive, then it will give you a more reality to the virtual component. And when it comes to the interaction and imagination, so as we discussed earlier, whatever the object you are going to create, you should render the object in a proper world, and the sequence, there should be a synchronization with the uh, videos, and or you can say it as an image, and also with respect to one sound, there should be a synchronization, so that the person who is viewing can get the interaction, or he may feels that he will be in an fully in an immersive world. So some interactive devices are also there to interact with the virtual world. Some components we are going to discuss, and once this is attained, you can able to create your own imagination. Once these three eyes are properly fit into it, you can able to create a VR system, which will gives a reality to a virtual environment. It is redrawn, the components are redrawn in a simpler way, so that processors can be included here. You have an input processors, you have a input devices, and a tracker. The tracker will track the positions and the orientations of the object with the help of an input devices, and then it will be given to an input processor, and the computer we have, which is going to simulate the output with the rendering concept we are going to apply. Finally these two things will going to provide you an output. That output will be an either in the form of an visual or audio or haptic or touchable output you can view out of it. So everything will be connected with an database. There you will have informations by which we are going to process it, and finally you can able to get a VR final VR system. And coming to the input devices. Right now I am not touching the input devices. We are talking about an output devices. I will be moving on to an output devices. With respect to the previous components, we can simply understand how a VR system is performing its operation. You can see the person is having a 3D mouse. It's a kind of an input device, and he has a tracker. So the inputs, this dotted dashed lines are the input stream, and the dotted lines are the output stream they are getting. And for processing this input and synchronizing this input into an output, rendering into one real world object, we need a computer. So it is going to be performed with the help of this. So input device and the tracker information we are capturing. After capturing this, it will be given as an input to the system. The input will simulate and render the 3D objects, and finally it will be given as an output. So with the help of an head mounted device, the person can able to view the 3D, not 3D, VR display. So we have started with few output devices. So I have given you 3 different categories of visual devices. So in the case of an visual devices, stationary devices we have already discussed, and then head based display is there, hand based VR displays are available. All this are head based VR display, and these are some of the displays we have with respect to an head based VR display, and this is an stationary VR display. Now coming to the steps which is involved in the process of developing any VR system, and later we will be moving again with respect to this output system. So to get a clear-cut idea, we will discuss what are all the steps we have to follow when we are making any VR system. First, you have to define the objective. What is the objective we are going to define? What kind of object you are going to render, or what is the plan we have? For example, whether you are going to develop a game, or you are going to develop some education tutorials, or it is going to be helpful for any medical purpose. You have to fix up the objectives and with respect to the application. So once you decided the applications, find out what are all the things you are going to showcase in your virtual display, that you have to think it out. So select the objective that can use as the simulations or VR for measurements. So what are all the things you are going to incorporate will be the second step. And once this is defined, suppose you need to refine some objective which we have selected earlier, you can refine it, and then you have to perform the following steps. So the steps you can see: level of realism, type of immersions, and type of interaction. As I told you, 3 R's are a main components of any VR component. So these 3. So level of realism, you can also call it as an imagination. So what type of immersions you are going to have, and what type of interactions you are going to have. So 3 I's should be taken care, and based on this 3I, we are again choosing what tool you are going to use and what are all the hardware components required for performing the corresponding VR system. We need to select that, and then we can start designing and building the virtual environment. Once the virtual environment is built, it can be evaluated and by an pilot group. Pilot groups are the expert group who is developing the applications. So those group of people will evaluate the generated virtual environment output. If it is not up to the expectation, or it is not fulfilling the objective, they will try to again refine step 7, and again they will modify some more content to make it to fit with the objective. And then once it is fit with the objective, it will be given for the target people. So the target people will give their feedbacks. Based on the feedbacks, again it will be refined if required, or else it will be published in the market as such. So these are all the steps we need to follow when we trying to develop any VR systems. So first step, define the objective, select the objectives that will use us with VR simulations, and if required, you can refine the selection objective, and then perform the following things, that is 3I should be maintained, and then you need to choose which environment you are going to use, that is hardware and the software components you have to choose, and after choosing it you can design and build your virtual environment. Finally, it can be evaluated by the pilot groups, and if required, modification can be given, and once the objectives are met out, it can be given to the target people. The target people, based on the reviews and the suggestions of the target people, it can be further refined if required. So I am again showing you application. So with respect to an education application, one video I am going to show. So how the VR is useful in the case of education, you can see when you are drawing any mathematical components, you can able to view the 3D perspective of the corresponding object, and you can get the feel of how it is executed in a 3D plane. And when it comes to one virtual laboratory, some components they are using, and it will show you how it is executed in a virtual labs. So the example will gives you how the following steps has to be carried out. So with respect to the explanation with the steps, so when you are going to develop any VR system, you should keep based on the application, you have to fix the objectives and how it is going to be evaluated, and all you need to decide it. Now, mapping between the input and the output that we have obtained from the computer. So again, the same concept what we have discussed earlier is given in the form of a different representation. Here we have a output displays, and here we have some input displays along with the trackers. It will capture, the computer will capture the input, and it will this is the computer, it will simulate and render the 3D object, and it will be given as an output to the user, so that the user can able to see. So throughout our first and second unit, we are going to discuss all these different components that is going to be involved. So later I will be talking about these components. As we discussed earlier, the hardware components used in VR systems, it requires an input device and user tracking system. So it uses a tracker, different trackers, and along with us, input system can be a data glove, or it can be a mouse. All these components we will be discussing in the forthcoming classes. And when it comes to the computation, it graphics computation and computer computation, and also we have discussed about an OS, what kind of OS is required when we perform the operation. The OS component comes as a software component. Anyway, the OS requirement is also very, very important. It should support multi-threading concept. And when it comes to an output display, either it can be an visual display or oral display or haptic display or sensory displays. So we are now discussing with an visual display components. So this computation and all we have discussed earlier classes. And in the case of a visual display, three different visual displays out of which we have completed the stationary display. So in the case of a stationary display, it uses a large screen for performing the operations. Our desktop displays are also comes under the type of a stationary display, and the remaining two displays we will be discussing in this class. Before talking about the other two, we will discuss two more important concepts which is related to the display system we will discuss. It requires a separate room, cave, wall display, tablet displays, desktop displays are an example for a stationary displays. So it's an one example we have discussed earlier. Now coming to the two important concepts, as I told you, one is an uh, field of view, another one is an field of regards. Two things we are going to discuss. So when it comes to one field of view, so how this field of view is going to use in the case of a VR system we will discuss. Before talking about the field of view, just this diagram will explain you how it is working. I will show you one video. So just watch this video. You can see angles are changing here. If it's 90 degree, 60 degree and 120 degree are the field of views. I will be explaining what is field of view later after this video. You can see here, if it's in field of view is 60 degree, 90 degree and 120 degree. What is the difference you can feel out of it? Can you able to track out the difference between these field of view?
Yes, ma'am. Wider angle.
Yeah, you can see
More.
in this case few objects are not there, but when it increases, when you increase the degree, you can able to view some more views from the perspective, whichever perspective the person is viewing. So this is with respect to an image. And when it is used in a video, you can see 120 degree field of view. If it is same as 90 degree and 60 degree, you can see what happens to the image. Again 90 degree, it is, you can see the more views, 120 more views you can see. Okay, so you can able to see now what is field of view. Now I am coming back to the content definition of field of view. So in the case of field of view, it's an observable area a person can see through eyes or via any optic device. It's an observable area a person can see through the eye or via any optic devices. So we can put it in another way that it covers the area rather than a single focused point. So when you see object as a person, I'm opening my video. So as a human, we can see what are all the ways by which you can see. Suppose you wanted to see the upward, how can you see? I wanted to see the sky, so I can see via this way. Suppose I wanted to see something on this side or this side, I can see via this way. Similarly, upward and downward, I can see this way. So now, if for any eye, when we are talking about a human eye, the vertical field of view is upward or downward. When you are seeing upward or downward, maximum it will cover over 180 degree, it will cover. When it is in horizontal, it will cover around 35 degrees. It's clear? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So now coming to again this content. So you have an object here, a lens is kept here, and the object is captured via this length. The focal length is set as an 3 inches for the first diagram. I'm talking with respect to the first diagram. Here it is 2f, it is missing here. It's cut here. So I will be explaining how we have obtained all these things. So you can see the object now. This object is now reflected here. You can say this area, this is the focal length. You have a focal length of f. This is the focal length you have. And this portion, whatever h we are calling, this h is an sensor size. So when we are viewing it, what will happen? So you can see this portion. This portion I am drawing. You can see this entire portion. What is this? This is some angle theta. So it's an angle theta. We need to compute this angle theta is now your field of view. We need to compute what is this theta, which is field of view. So theta can be computed with respect to this smaller thing we have drawn. We know this distance. What is this distance? This to this? It is f. Yes. And this to this?
h by 2.
H. This entire distance is h and half of it is h by 2. So this distance is h by 2. So I am drawing a separate diagram. Okay. So this is f and only half of the distance we have considered here, which is h by 2. What about the angle? This entire angle is theta. So this angle is half of it, theta by 2. So we can now write theta by 2 equal to tan inverse of h by 2f, where theta equal to 2 into tan inverse of h by 2f. So the field of view is equal to 2 or tan inverse of h by 2. So this is the field of view we have obtained. So with respect to this focal length and the h, that is the sensor size or the height of the sensors, you can call it as a sensor size. If your sensor size is smaller, what will happen to your field of view? The second, this is the first example which has f3, f is in 3 inches and the sensor size is h. In the second second diagram, you can see your h is same as that of the previous case, but your focal length is different, which is 6 inches. So if your sensor size is smaller, what will happen? What will happen to this equation?
It will increase because
If your h is,
decrease.
I couldn't hear your voice, it's very low.
Ma'am, focal length will decrease, so tan inverse will increase, and then as tan inverse, the greater the, it will be a greater angle. Field of
H when h is smaller, automatically this will be decreasing and it is going to give you the your focal view will be increased. When it comes to one sensor size, if you are smaller sensor size, you have a smaller sensor size rather having a h. If your sensor size is smaller, what will happen? Sensor size is smaller, you are trying to if your sensor size is very smaller, it can able to capture some of these objects. And if you are able to view the entire object, what will happen? So it will only this amount of information what you have here will be displayed, which is only the lesser pixels will be viewed to the viewer when your sensor size is smaller. The remaining entire object will be viewed off because you are not getting a better field of view. And coming to the field of regards, in the case of field of regards, the total area that can be computed by a movable sensor. The difference is field of view, it's a observed area of a person can see through the eye or via an optic device. It is mainly in the case of an static devices. When it comes to an movable devices, the total area that can be captured by the movable sensor is called field of regards. I will be showing another example. If suppose in the case of a field of view, it is an angular representation by a sensor at a particular time of instant. So when it comes to an particular time of instance which is related to an image which is in static position. If suppose we have a sensors, it's not a movable sensor, it's a static sensor. What will happens to field of view and field of regard? I will show a video and then I will be back to this question. So you can see two views. It depends, as I told you, the field of view, either it can be a vertical or it can be a side view. So with respect to top view and a side view, it is displaying an object. You can see how much it is rotating. Everything is clearly specified here. So you can see it's rotating only plus and minus 5. So you can see right now it's rotating for 360 degree. Here also it's rotating for 360 degree. Can you able to see how it is making? As I told you in the previous classes, in the case of an VR system, 360 degree is very important so that you can capture all the informations which are there in your screen. So the previous video you can see how it is capturing all the 360. So with respect to this, what is this? Can you able to see what I'm marking? This is the, let us take this is a person or a person who is viewing from here. So this region, it's a video, so I couldn't unable to write on it. What about this region? You can see this region. What is this region? It's called
on the field of view, right?
Field of view. Because now with respect to the static object, I have told you whatever the angular movement you are getting, that is in field of view. So this person can able to view this entire objects which resides inside this field of view. Now it's rotating. Now the object is it's rotating sensors are there. So what is the field of regards now?
Totally recovered by the field of view.
So you can see here this entire region, whatever. So when you talk with respect to a particular instant, it's a field of view. When you are talking with the entire area, total area that can be captured by the movable sensor is called as an field of regard. Can you able to see? So this sensor can able to capture this entire region information. Can you able to see the difference?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now the question is, if your field of view if the sensor, instead of rotating a movable sensor, we have a static sensor. What will be the field of view and the field of regards with respect to this point?
Both will be the same, right?
Yes,
Both will be the
both
same.
will be the same because there is no rotation. Only this area is covered by both field of view and regard says this is the area which is covered. So both will be same in the case of stationary sensors. If it's movable sensor, it will be different. When at a point of instant, whatever area you can be able to view, that is the field of view. The sensor's total area which can be captured by the sensor is called field of regards. So the entire area is called as a field of regards. It's clear? The definition is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, when it comes to any particular instant, now the field of view is only this area. It's not capturing the entire region, only this area is now your field of view. Now coming back to the display devices, stationary display devices. We have discussed different stationary display devices, and also we have discussed the disadvantage of stationary devices. So the main disadvantage of a stationary device is cost is the main problem, because you need to make a setup of this large screen, and it should be covered with a cuboid so that you can feel the virtual world. So it's cost effective. And also coming to the field of view or field of reference. In the case of this, field of view will be what if a person is standing and he can able to see whatever which is present here. So it will covers all the field of view. What about the field of reference? Regard?
The entire room.
Not clear. Your voice is very low.
Ma'am, the entire room.
Yeah, entire room you can see in any different postures, and you can see the entire room. But when it comes to this kind of room setup, only this view you can able to see. Other than that, it is unable to see. That is the main drawback of the stationary display. And when it comes to one desktop display, what will be the drawback of a desktop display? So camera is fixed here. The camera can able to capture whatever the object which is there in the front or whatever. What about the field of view with respect to this? Only the size of your monitor. Only you can view the monitor region. Other than that, it is not our region of interest. Only this we have to see. So that is the main drawback with respect to one display devices and cave stationary displays. And coming to the head-based displays, we need to use some kind of special devices which should be weared on the head so that we can able to see the output of a generated output. So you can see here helmet kind of display head displays are available, and also nowadays glass kind of displays are available. And this kind of head-based displays are more commonly used. All the persons can easily purchase and they can use it. This kind of head-based displays are mainly useful in the case of movies and televisions. So when you go to watch some 3D movies and all, they will give you a glass like this to view the 3D effects and all. So you might be experienced that. So it's mainly popularized. This kind of head-based displays are mainly popularized in movies and televisions. Different types of head-based display. Head-mounted display. So head-mounted display, we will be talking more about an HMD, which is head-mounted displays. and a helmet kind of, this is head mounted display, and a helmet kind of mechanical arm mounted displays are available that is not commonly used. And head on displays, these are all the head on displays, glasses are the head on displays, and binocular omni orientation monitor boom are used. This is an example for boom systems. So the advantage of using this kind of display devices, so the user can turn their head to see any direction in the world. So you can just turn your head and you can see all the objects or any directions in the world, whatever you wanted. So what will happen? What about the degree of freedom, or sorry, degree of regard? So one more topic I will be talking about, degree of freedom. Later I will be talking about degree of freedom. Now coming to the field of regards, when a person is mounting a head-based display, can he able to view? For example, you have a desktop system, as I told you. Can you able to see the what will be the field of regards here? Only this portion you can able to see, because it's a stationary field of when it comes to head-based devices, the person can able to see in all,
All
free
directions.
to move in all the directions. So you can able to see better field of regards. So 100% of field of regards can be easily attained with the help of head-based displays. So maximum technologies uses this kind of devices for this, because it's cheaper when compared to the stationary devices, because stationary devices requires a separate setup and it requires a large screen to display the view, and it is costly when compared to this. So this is very cheaper, and it doesn't require any special space for keeping this. So that is also an advantage, and also it is portable. Wherever you want, you can carry your device and you can view. But in the case of stationary devices, that's very difficult. It's not portable, it's fixed. Coming to the disadvantage of head-based display, what will be the disadvantage you will have? Any guess?
Uncomfortableness, as there will be an extra weight.
Uncomfortable. When you wear for long duration of time, it's you feel uncomfortable to use it. And sometimes if your output is not synchronous properly, if any latency is there, then that can be easily notable to the user. That may cause us some head problem, headache and all may be caused to the users also. So the main drawback is you cannot use it for long duration of time, and also it may cause us some headache problems and all. And in the case of an head-on devices, when it comes to this kind of device, another problem is if you are using this device, whereas in this case of stationary, you can see multiple person can watch at a time. But when it comes to a head-based devices, so glasses or something, only an individual person can view, multiple person cannot view at the same time. So that is a drawback. And what about the field of view here? With respect to field of regards, you can you have a freely you can rotate and you can view all the degrees of all the objects which is in present here. What about the field of view? Field of view. Can you able to see more objects, or so if you are using this kind of set, it has a lens, so only it will capture whatever your screen size or something, only you can capture that. Other than that, you cannot see. So it's narrow field of view when it comes when head-based displays. Some of the head-mounted displays are given here. For these required mobile phones, you can keep it and you can watch it. When it comes to one desktop, these are all the available desktop headsets that can be useful. So when you go for a mobile headsets, you have to keep the mobile. Last class I have showed you how to insert the mobile and you can view it. This Google Cardboard is very cheaper. If you wanted to experience the VR experience, then you can purchase it for below 500. Probably it's 300 to 400. You can get Google Cardboards. And when it comes to an Samsung or a Daydreams and all, it's very expensive. Probably it costs around more than 30,000. Depends on the model. It may be up to 1 lakh also. It's available. The third display, VR displays are hand-based VR displays. So with the help of an palm-sized devices, we can able to view the VR displays. So two types of hand-based display, a pair of binocular or another type of display is an palm-sized displays. Uh, in a case of a pair of binocular that contains two small screens instead of typical lenses, it will continuously display a magnified view of directions they are pointing. So when a person is moving here and there, it will try to display the processed image with respect to the corresponding perspective. When it comes to one palm-sized devices, I can just make a quick diagram. A person is viewing from the eye of a person. A person is viewing. This is the screen, display screen, palm size display screen. So the image on the screen shows the virtual world from the perspective of where the user eyes are through the small window. So through a window you are watching it. So it will say, for example, if your eye is focusing this portion, you can able to see. So based on the perspective of the user eye, you can able to see the display. So this kind of displays, the palm size screen displays are typically displayed monoscopic images only. It is very difficult to generate a stereoscopic images because it acquires a small flat screen that can display stereo images. It's very difficult to display a stereo images in this flat screen. So nowadays many smartphones are used in VR. Maximum when you uses a mobile, instead of VR application, the mobile phones are used for an AR application, which is an augmented reality applications. Coming to the advantage, uh, as I told you, it's mainly useful in the case of AR application. You can combine the physical world onto the screen based on the display. Whatever you wanted, you can combine with the physical display. When it comes to one disadvantage part of hand-based devices, it doesn't work when no other VR display or other application requires a reasonable amount of field of view. Which means it has a limited field of view, and you cannot experience a most immersive component here. The immersion eye is missing here. It has less immersive. These are all the three different kinds of hand-based VR displays. The first is in stationary and head-based and hand-based VR displays we have discussed. Next class we will be discussing about an oral display, which is useful for generating the sounds. It's audio displays. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. One more